Alright, let's do the sewers and Abzu 2. Abzu 2 is pretty fast with my strat, so we're going to do the sewers real quick right before we get there. Keep in mind, since you're coming out of Chapter 13, you basically need to revert whoever you decided was your mage and switch them out back to Cloud, because Cloud is going to be doing most of your work. So for the setups here for the underground, for this portion, I will say you can have fire spells if you want. I actually don't bother with them on Barrett. I use Max Fury and Berserk. Those are the only two things I need. He's got Synergy Fire, so he'll be casting fire spells without casting them, so that's fine with me. Tifa, we don't really need True Strikes. We don't really need... the Focus Strike here is negotiable, but it is helpful to have it either way. So the True Strike isn't important. Cloud would look more like this. So you could do Fire Magnify or anything. I just prefer to have Blade Burst because it's a non-MP using move. But anyway, that's the shortcuts. This is what everybody's equipment should look like in terms of weapons. Cloud's going to need Fire Magnify. Fire MP Absorb is going to make your life much easier, so you don't need to bother picking up any crates throughout the sewer. It does cost you about 5 seconds per crate, if my estimates are right. If you do them optimally and parry kick them with Tifa, you can get a hold of them, but there's a lot of fights where that's unoptimal and you're not going to be able to do that. MP up and stagger is something you're definitely going to want as well. Fire should stagger a lot of enemies in here, so take advantage of it. Double magic up, first strike ATB boost, so Cloud's pretty much set. You really don't want to change this. This MP up could be negotiated off for something else. If you're running a full MP absorb. You can also alternatively go with elemental. I wouldn't bother at this point. You're going to be casting spells and spells alone, so there's no reason to. Barrett, ice, binding. Binding is needed. You're going to want to berserk the boss. Stagger, skillmaster. These could come up depending on how bad the fight goes. I'd say keep reviving and heal as usual. Fire Synergy is his main source of damage, so keep that on him. He's not going to do much otherwise, so just keep him with Fire Synergy. If you really want to be YOLO about it, you can put him on Steel Pincers. I wouldn't, specifically because with Steel Pincers, you don't have range. So I have one luck up and one MP up. You can double MP up or double luck up, however you want to go. Barrett's crits usually don't mean a lot, so the luck up is just there to try and get him to yield some extra damage. This ice isn't needed. First strike is for Tifa. Wind, this can be fire if you really want it to. You don't have to have wind elemental. Any elemental is needed, though. You need at least something here so that you can do some extra damage. Healing parry, Fat Chocobo for some HP and attack. HP up, you're probably going to want this. The more HP ups, like, if you can put an HP up on each person, as long as you're not doing self-destruct strats, that'll make your life a lot simpler, and it will keep you from dying. Unfortunately, when you get to the top end, you end up having to... So, like I said here, you can negotiate this MP up off for an HP up, and keep yourself a lot safer. We need this ATB assist. Skillmaster will be activated as well, so you need assist, Skillmaster, elemental, whatever the hell you want. First strike. This parry and healing should always be there. The binding you can use as a backup. HP up is a good idea, but there you go. So you're going to need Revival Healing, Fire Synergy, whatever you want over here can be luck up, and at least one binding material with Barrett, Fire Mag, Fire MP Absorb, HP or MP up, ATB Stagger, you need this. For ATB Boost, First Strike, Magic, and once again, Tifa doesn't matter. First Strike is wind, can be any element, so this could be fire if you really wanted to. You know, make your life a little bit easier. Elemental, healing parry you're going to want. Skillmaster and assist will both be activated in the boss fight, so you need it. Binding is a backup, you don't need to have it. You're going to want this from the previous chapter anyway, because you need to ward binding, so that's why, because you want to be able to immune yourself to sleep on somebody, and then HP up. So there you go. Just another quick look at the everything. There you go, Lynn. Now let me show you the sewers. This first enemy can be taken out with a Fire and Magnify if you really want to. You can go with a Fire as well. So there you go. It should one-shot. Yep. It's not super important. That's That's where the Blade Burst comes in. You can take the Fire off. So, I mean, like, when you're dealing with a single target, you can use Fire. So we'll just say that you would use this normally. This next area over here, we don't need to do any of these fights. So we're just going to switch over to Tifa here and move on with our lives. That's Barret, not Tifa. That's Cloud, not Tifa. So you can get much faster parries if you hold down triangle with uppercut to cancel. I can't really do that on the controller I'm on, so I have to do this the slow way, unfortunately. Just kind of how it is. Parry can be canceled into parry pretty quick. You don't need to do the uppercut stuff. Parrying is more than good enough. The uppercut will just end up saving you more time on bad runs and saving you more time on really good runs. So right here, we don't want to parry. Hitting the
Nothing to it.
hitting those crabs with a physical attack will cause them to guard, and they'll survive that fire or magnify if you do that. This fight right here, you're going to want triple slash for because of these uprights. I'll show you what happens if you try and use a spell. This is usually what happens. And then one of them ends up surviving. The easiest... you can very easily end up hitting these uprights. So the easiest way to deal with this is to just go triple. This is why Fire Elemental could be useful. Seriously?
That's that.
Okay. So, Fire Elemental can make that a little bit easier, but that's the only fight where Fire Elemental really comes in. For the most part, you're aiming to just nuke everything with spells without really thinking about it. Fire Magnify and Fire MP Absorb will have a pretty strong interaction here. The reason you don't use Fire Magnify until now is because the enemies are strong enough here that you'll get all the duplications off, so you'll get multi-hits with Fire instead of a single hit. Magnify has a weird quirk where it targets only 3 enemies, and if all 3 of those die before the duplications happen, it won't duplicate. Ice and Wind will create particle effects, so all 3 duplications will happen before any of them explode, so you get 3 duplications. So like right here, you see how one of those fires hit the floor? That's because the other steel pincer died. The problem with that is it screws up your MP count, so now my MP is a little bit lower than it should be.
I'll take the lead.
So we're gonna go for a... Just remember, you can't MP absorb, or you can MP absorb, but you can't soul drain. You don't have ethers or any of that stuff while doing hard. So I'll show you all the MP crates you can get on the way here. So we're just going to go for Fire here, just to downgrade and save a little bit of MP. We're gonna True Strike, lock on. That's gonna trigger a Synergy Fire from Barret. There you go. So right here, we're gonna want to Fire these guys, switch over to Tifa, and then try and get them to all chill out in one spot, so you can get that. Now, you can get an MP shard right here if you need it. That one will also respawn after we kill the Abzu Shote, which has run off with the necklace. Not the key, the necklace. We've been scammed. Okay? So over here, we're going to... I would use Fire a Magnify and Synergy with Barret, which is what I'll normally do, because that way I can get some good movement and let Barret do the rest of the damage there. You can just Fire and deal with it. Fire a Unmagnify, and that'll kill there as well. Fire Magnify won't get you very far. Fire Magnify will. You can Fire a Magnify fights like this if you really want, but the problem is your MP is going to run low real easy.
You're good at this.
Told you so.
Alright, so this room is the big pain in the butt one. We're going to lose out because we don't have full MP, because I've been kind of a little bit free with the way I've been using spells. So we're going to Fire a Magnify. We want to chill this one out so that we get Barret Synergy, because that won't always happen. That's what you're going for, just a group cluster blow, but it's not going to happen all the time. So we want to make sure that this guy right here, we want to be careful of. He can sometimes guard the exit, so you kind of can get screwed. Barret is really taking a beating right now, and I'm not too happy about it.
I'm not gonna hurt you, little fella.
Alright, so there is some more MP crates coming up we can grab. I believe there may be one right here. ATB boost here, Fire up, and then you want to Fire up what's left over. Okay, I believe one of these is crate. No, if there is one, it's, oh, whatever. No, that's an item. Never mind. I usually don't grab all the crates around here, so I'm not 100% sure on where they all are. I do know there's a few here in a second. So take this opportunity to heal your party up. Hopefully you won't have to deal with it anymore after that. But you can also multi-cure when you're in here by holding the LB button, or L1 if you're on the PlayStation. LB if you're using an Xbox controller on the PC. I'm using the Xbox controller right now because the PC has 30 save files, so it's much easier to practice and set up saves. Until now, I haven't had a good way to practice stuff. So we're going to start with a Firaga here, Star Shower, into Dolphin Flurry. So we do the... you can grab this over here, that's an MP crate. Then you can grab this too, and fire up.
No escape.
So... I'm just letting you know those crates are there. You can definitely get those during the boss fight and still kill the show pretty quickly.
Follow me.
I'll show you another crate on the way out. So just as long as you manage your MP properly, you can avoid using MP Absorb. But if you do not use MP Absorb, the fight I'm about to show you will not work. There's another way to do this fight that I've almost completely forgotten at this point. I know there's going to be another video of it on my channel. This one is kind of YOLO, but it's the most simplified way to deal with Abzu. And it's going to be using Firaga and Firaga Magnifies to just blow out Abzu immediately. So this crate down here respawns, so even if your MP is low, you've got 30% recovery between here and there. So there's no reason you shouldn't be able to go into this fight with full MP, as long as you're using MP Absorb. And even if you're not using MP Absorb, you get pretty close. As long as... Just remember that it's 10%, not 10 MP. So the higher your MP is with MP ups, the more you get out of Shinra Mako crates. So keep that in mind if you're not going to use MP Absorb strats.
Wait outside.
If you want to go with Elemental, it is a good way to make your sword actually hit hard.
Think the kid's gonna be
But Mithril Saber is going to need the proper element to actually like do anything effective with Blade Burst or that. So here we got the boss fight. We're going to start this guy off with a counter to fill up Cloud's ATB, and then we're going to spam some Fyra, ATB boost Firaga. And that's more or less going to rip apart the boss. That is going to push the phase. Right after the Firaga starts up, I'm going to do a couple of focus strikes with Tifa, specifically to trigger ATB assist, so that I give an extra 600 ATB to everybody. This will hopefully be enough to get Barrett his... and 1 ATB so he can berserk the boss at the end of this phase. And I can also get Cloud a little bit of extra ATB so I have some breathing room. So I'll do this first phase a couple of times. So you want to guard here, ground pound, that's going to happen. Ground pound will interrupt everybody else, so you don't want to do any inputs that way. You don't need to target the horn, but I'm going to, just out of simplicity's sake. So you see how that works. Barrett gets berserk. And now everybody's got ATB. Now the boss is berserked, and we're good to go. So the beginning, the boss will give you 3 different attacks. Regular, ground pound, or bash and smash. Bash and smash will require a very specific setup. So we're just gonna boop, boop. All right, we're on the boss. We're just gonna Firaga him, switch over, overcharge, and then switch to Tifa and Star Shower. There you go. That's phase 1 all over. This is why I think Firaga Magnify is a bit better. It's kind of dangerous, but it's not that difficult in my opinion. So you could use some single... So we'll go right here. We're going to True Strike. That'll trigger ATB assist off of this. And that should kill Max. So this alone should kill, actually, if I remember correctly. Because the issue I was having is he would zip off of the... oh, he won't. Okay. So Cloud Fyra. There you go. So you have to cast a spell or something in that combo. You can skip in Rage, but I wouldn't say it's very much worth it. Also, once you get in here, you don't need to climb the ladder. Just hold L1 or LB and then head up. That's actually slightly quicker doing it that way. So we're going to go back on in. And we'll show you the fight a few more times. A little bit slower this time. The first one was just kind of me making sure that I remembered how to do it properly so that I didn't teach the wrong thing. The only thing you can't not do at speed is the Punisher counter. So you interact with a door here. skip as soon as you can, and then lock on and Punisher counter. Bash and Smash is a weird one. You need to get out of the way. Ugh, that's really bad. ATB boost, fire ga, parry. We need the focus strikes here, and then Barret will be needed for Berserk. Okie dokie. We're gonna build up some bar here so Barret can heal Cloud. If he takes a dip, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, I also want to make sure that Tifa, Spell, Blizzard, we want to make sure we're locked on to the boss. Okay. And then we want to start this phase with Cloud. Bash and Smash is weird. You normally don't get double hit by it, but I was screwing around with locking on to the point where I got hit by it twice. You can usually roll out of that second hit. So we go Fire-Ga here, switch over, and then you would normally overcharge, but I don't have access to it right now, so we'll just go straight into the Star Shower. I could tell that didn't hit, so we're going to go for another Star Shower. Okay, and what we have an issue with here is Dingus Stinkus. We need to shoot Abzu himself. I believe you can get him off with a fire. Yeah, that's the problem. You don't want to see the black water. It's quite the obnoxious thing. I'm thinking my lock-ons are getting a little screwy in that fight. So you just want to lock on, counter. You want to make sure that you're targeting the boss, so you can go into here and then make sure you get the lock on. ATB boost into Fire-Ga. Tifa True Strike twice. You want a Focus Strike, poke. We're going to have to Focus Strike again because I got screwed out of some ATB there. Berserk with Barret. And now switch to Cloud. We want actually to build up some bar with Tifa. Her ATB should not be this low, but we're going to have to deal with it. So we're going to Fire-Ga. This is the issue, is this fight can be very fluid. So you have to kind of know how to deal with bad luck. Overcharge. And then we're going to come on in here and uppercut into a Star Shower. And that should push through. There you go. So I am going to need to get a little bit more ATB so I can get my Star Shower going. So I'm going to slide up and then uppercut cancel to get the last little bit I need. And we should be good to go. So uppercut, cancel, Star Shower. You can alternatively use Dolphin, Fire-Ga Fire. So what you didn't probably see there, this is the problem with this setup. You can skip in Rage, but it does knock Abzu off of your Dolphin Flurry. So that's a very high risk, high risk, low reward, honestly. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. But I'll try and do all the shortcuts through the menu this time. So we're going to start with the Punisher counter. Then we're going to Fire Abzu himself. ATB boost. Actually, I need to still be on Cloud, and then we need to go Fire-Ga. Tifa focus. Then we need to poke into a focus. Oh my gosh, this game is so stupid. Okay, and then Barret. We want to Berserk. I switched to Barret here on purpose to make sure he didn't hold on for anything. So, now we're in kind of a shitty spot. The focus strikes are pretty dangerous. I'd say just overcharge, to be honest, is probably the better way to deal with the first phase. Wrong character, overcharge. He's not going to get multi-hit here. Oh, he did. This can happen sometimes, which this is actually better anyway. So all you gotta do is roll up, True Strike, Star Shower, Dunsy Dunsy. So I need to roll up, uppercut, cancel True, into Star Shower, into Dolphin Flurry, and then now we want to Max Fury, and Fire-Ga Magnify. Sometimes Max Fury didn't go off like it was supposed to, but yeah. So I'll show you one more time at full speed again.
This time.
Just so you know, like, this is kind of how the fluidity of this fight is. Unfortunately, this is a little bit more of a dicey strat. But I think this is the best way to deal with it. As long as you're prepared for recovery mode, you should be fine. So, we'll go on in here. And, actually, you know what we're going to do is we're going to keep resetting until we get Bash and Smash so I can show you how to dodge that first. That's the important thing. Ground pound. Just hold on the counter for ground pound. The regular attack, you don't have to do anything. Just counter once. I did get Bash and Smash. I'm going to go for Bash and Smashes. Can't take that long doing it. Okay. So you got to make sure you're holding guard, or else you're not going to get your counters unless you time your stance change properly. There we go. So we're just going to counter and then roll. And like that. Fire a Ga. ATB boost. Fire a Ga. There you go. That's what you want to see, but you don't have to do it this way. So we kind of got Berserk, which really stinketh here. That's not what I wanted. So that's how you want Bash and Smash. The problem is, you're better off targeting the main body than the horn. That's what's creating the issues right now. So you want to do counter. And then that... So it's not a bad idea to go Fire a Ga onto the main body here. ATB boost. And then Fire a Ga. So the problem here is these guys stink. So we're just going to eliminate the Focus Strike activation here. We're just going to... do a Focus Strike to get the Skill Master loop, but we're going to ignore it for the most part. So we're going to do this. You can try and retarget manually, but it can be quite frustrating. So just establish the target proper. Don't worry about any of that other stuff. So we're going to True Strike with Tifa, but that's just for very specific setups. We're overcharging here, Berserk, and then switch to Cloud. See, the downside here is Cloud's ATB is very low. So we're going to have to get him ATB in this phase, which should not be nearly as difficult because we don't have as many shotes running around because of the place where he's going to go. So we're going to go this into here, and we're going to Focus Strike instead into Star Shower. Oh, well, that's, okay. So we can do this a different way. The problem is that Fire a Ga really, like, nukes that phase, so you're kind of at odds. The way to make sure that this always hits is just to start with a True Strike into the Star Shower, and then you can do whatever you want from there. So Max Fury, Abzu, you can fire it with Cloud or Fire a Ga, whichever works for you. And there you go. The Max Fury will keep him from starting in rage immediately, and the Fire a Ga will kill. The only thing you need to worry about is getting the Fire a Gas with Cloud. So one more time. One more time. I know there's a... The thing is, there's slight variables in each one of these, so I want to show you as many excerpts of this boss fight as possible, so that you can kind of look at the different versions and be like, okay, so maybe this is what I do, or maybe that's what I want to do. Alright. So we're going to deal with Ground Pound here. We were able to lock onto the target well. Fire a Ga. Okay, so Barret is not got enough ATB, so we're going to Berserk here. The reason you want to do the Focus Strikes is because it triggers ATB assist, so both Cloud and Barret get 600 ATB, not just Barret. So it's a method to make sure Cloud gets all the ATB he needs if we overdamage in this phase, which we normally do. So we're going to come on over here and Star Shower. The reason we Star Shower is it does a ton more damage. We're going to Star Shower again. That tail spin can be pretty lethal. The reason the damage was low there is sometimes the magnify doesn't multi-hit the boss, so you might have to do stuff like that. So we're going to roll up, poke for the True Strike, poke with the True Strike. So we're going to do this. True Strike will trigger Skill Master. That triggers that, and then we're going to go into that, and Barret can follow up with Max Fury, and Cloud can fire up. Unfortunately, Max Fury didn't get off soon enough, but it will keep pushing damage, so we'll get through the fight. So there you go. That's how you deal with Abzu if you're willing to use Magnify Firaga. There's a couple of different ways to do this fight without magnified spells, but Magnify works out really good with MP Absorb. So just keep in mind, you need Fire Magnify and Fire MP Absorb for this to work this way. Otherwise, you're not going to hit nearly as hard, and you're going to run out of damage really fast. And phases 2 and 3 will not function properly. You can get away with phase 1, but not phase 2 and 3. You will definitely need multi-hits, and you'll end up with really low damage, and you're going to churn through a lot of MP really quick. You can cast some Firaga spells with either Barret or Tifa, but Tifa's on Metal Knuckle, so her magic is absolute trash. And Barret's is not much better. You know, see, she's got a weapon with, like, no magic on it. You kind of see how Barret's best magic weapon does not work for him, unfortunately. So I'll go over the MP again. Fire, Magnify. You want these for the sewer. They'll make your life easier, faster. The stagger you're going to want, because you're going to trigger a lot of staggers in the sewer from killing with fire. So you might have to cast a second time, especially with the turtles fights. MP Absorb is nice, but not needed. Magic up, first strike, AT boost. You need all of these. Fire Synergy is very strong. You absolutely need that on Barret here. That's about all he needs besides binding. None of this other stuff should get activated, but so you have a lot of free slots. Tifa, you can Elemental Fire if you want to. You do have to do a menu at the beginning of this chapter, and you do have to do a menu at the beginning of Chapter 15 too, as well, rather. So you can shift your element, but it is additional time you have to spend each time. So use it at the beginning, and then wean yourself off it slowly. Because having the proper element in boss fights will allow you to do enough damage if your party members die in a weird way. But at some point you need to let go of that crutch and move on, both on your own feet, you know? So Assistant Skill Master will activate. Skill Master activates off of Phase 1, Focus Strike. Phase 2, you Star Shower. Then Phase 3, you True Strike, which gives you another 900 ATB, which allows you to go into Star Shower, which goes into a limit. And that will keep Abzu on your limit, and I'll show you, actually. It should solo Abzu with that. I know this is going to be a bit of a longer one, but Abzu is quite the dangerous boss. So we'll treat it as such. So this can be fire right now. Fire for this. So the final phase, I'll just solo with Tifa. So you can kind of see how that works.
Get ready.
Don't think you'll walk away from this.
Fire,
No escape.
you can get these spells out before he slams, but it's very uncommon. Okay, so Barret gets Berserk. The reason we do Focus Strike is so that Tifa gets ATB back off of landing the hit. You could Focus Strike some of the little rodents in there, but honestly, the Fire Gust should free you up to not get hit. So Fire Gust, switch over to Overcharge, come over here. He's gonna die to the end of this. Yep. So you saw the Fire Synergy go off there. So what we're gonna do is just solo this with Tifa since she has Fire Element. You don't necessarily need it everywhere, but this will help you a lot. So we're just gonna go boop. Boop the Snoop, True Strike, into Star Shower. Hold still, buddy. Dolphin Flurry. So nobody else is doing anything. We're getting a couple of Synergy procs, but that's it. So the thing is, you can just raw Star Shower and Dolphin Flurry, and it should kill. I've had issues where Abzu slips off of it, so that's why I start with the True Strike first, then go into the Star Shower, then go into the limit. That seems to keep him from slipping off the limit and dodging a lot of the damage. So that's it for Chapter 13. 13? Am I out of my mind? I'm pretty sure I am. It's 14, yeah. So that's it for Chapter 14, and basically Abzu and the Abzu Magnify strat. This isn't the safest strat, but it is something that does work pretty consistently. I'd say it's 80% on the very, very low end if you're really like being harsh on it. And I'd say 95 to 98% of the time it works. And it leaves you enough leeway so that you can fix if something bad happens. It usually just devolves into uppercutting a couple of times and throwing an extra star shower for damage. And that's about it. So I hope that helped, and we'll move on to Valk after this, I guess. Oh boy, Valk. What a fun boss. We'll do Chapter 15 as well, because it's a pretty quick chapter. See you next time.